Maya woke before sunrise and packed her small leather bag with dried fruit and water. She left her treehouse without looking back, knowing that she might never see her home again. The alien hunters were still sleeping in their metal ships, but their machines continued to scan the forest through the night. The base of Thunder Peak rose from the forest floor like a wall of black stone. Ancient elven warnings carved into the rock told all who could read them to turn back and seek safer paths. But Maya placed her hand on the cold stone and felt the mountain calling to her spirit. The first part of the climb was not too difficult. Maya followed old animal trails that wound between the rocks and stunted trees that grew from cracks in the cliff face. Her elvish heritage gave her perfect balance, and her human determination drove her ever upward toward the storm clouds that crowned the peak. By midday, she had climbed higher than any elf had gone in living memory. The air grew thin and cold, and her breath came out in white puffs that the wind scattered like ghosts. Below her, the forest looked like a green carpet dotted with the silver threads of streams and rivers. The alien hunters had begun their own assault on the lower peaks. Maya could see their flying vehicles buzzing around the mountain caves like angry metal insects. Their energy weapons sent bright flashes of light into the darkness, but no dragons emerged to fight them. The ancient creatures remained hidden in their secret places. As afternoon turned to evening, Maya reached a narrow ledge where she had to rest. Her hands were cut and bleeding from gripping the sharp rocks, and her legs trembled with exhaustion. The wind howled around the mountain peak, carrying the scent of snow and the promise of a coming storm. From her resting place, Maya could see the alien camp far below. More ships had arrived during the day, and General Vex now commanded over 100 hunters. They had set up a base camp at the foot of Thunder Peak, and their lights turned the darkness into an artificial day. Maya knew that she could not turn back now. The hunters would find the dragon caves eventually with their advanced scanning equipment. Only she had the chance to reach the storm dragons first and warn them of the danger that approached from below. The night brought new challenges as the temperature dropped below freezing. Maya wrapped herself in her thin cloak and pressed against the rock face for warmth. Ice formed on the stone, making each handhold treacherous and every step a risk of falling to her death. Strange sounds echoed from the caves above her. Not the roars that she expected from angry dragons, but something softer like the whisper of wind through distant halls. Maya felt her heart beating faster as she realized that she was getting close to her destination. The second day of climbing brought Maya to heights where no trees could grow, and only the hardiest lichens clung to life on the bare rock. The air was so thin that she had to stop every few steps to catch her breath. Her water was nearly gone, and frost covered her hair like a crown of diamonds. Below her, the hunters had begun using explosives to blast open cave entrances. The sound of their weapons echoed off the mountain walls like the drums of war. Maya saw flashes of light as their energy beams searched the darkness, but still the dragons did not reveal themselves. As the sun reached its highest point, Maya found herself at the base of the final cliff that led to the summit of Thunder Peak. The rock face was smooth as glass and rose straight up for nearly 1,000 feet. No normal creature could climb such a wall, but Maya felt the storm blood singing in her veins. She began the most dangerous part of her journey, using cracks in the stone that were barely wide enough for her fingers. The wind tried to tear her from the cliff face, and her muscles screamed with pain. But something deep inside her refused to give up when she was so close to her goal. Storm clouds gathered around the peak, as if called by her presence. Lightning began to flash in the darkness, and thunder rolled across the mountains like the voice of angry gods. Maya climbed through the heart of the storm, feeling the electricity crackling through her hair and clothes. Rain began to fall, turning the rock slippery and treacherous. Maya pressed her face against the stone and held on as the wind tried to rip her away. She could feel power building in the air around her, as if the mountain itself was awakening to her presence. Just as her strength began to fail, Maya saw a crack of light above her head. She pulled herself up with her last bit of energy and found herself looking into a crystal cave that glowed with soft blue radiance. The sacred home of the storm dragons lay before her like a palace made of living light. Maya dragged herself over the edge and collapsed on the smooth floor of the cave. Her body shook with exhaustion and cold, but her heart soared with triumph. She had done what no elf had accomplished in 100 years. She had reached the summit of Thunder Peak and found the legendary dragon lair. As she lay gasping on the crystal floor, Maya heard a sound that made her blood freeze in her veins. It was the soft whisper of enormous wings folding and the gentle rumble of breathing that could only come from creatures of immense size. She was not alone in the cave. Slowly, Maya raised her head and looked deeper into the glowing chamber. 3 pairs of eyes like burning stars watched her from the shadows. The storm dragons had been waiting for her arrival, and now she would learn whether they saw her as friend or enemy. The morning sky burned red when the first alien ships appeared over planet Zephyr. Maya stood on her wooden platform high in the great oak tree and watched the metal vessels descend like falling stars. Their engines roared so loud that birds fled from every branch and small animals hid deep in their burrows. Maya was not like the other elves who lived in the peaceful forest villages below. Her pointed ears marked her as one of their kind, but her heart beat with the fierce courage that humans were known for across the galaxy. She had been born during a great storm when lightning split the sky, and her mother said that thunder lived in her blood. The alien ships landed in the meadow beside Crystal Lake with a sound like breaking mountains. Steam rose from their hot metal. Hulls and the grass beneath them turned black and died. Maya counted 12 vessels in total, each one bigger than the largest tree in her forest home. From the lead ship stepped creatures that Maya had only heard about in whispered stories. They were the Korthak Empire hunters who traveled from world to world capturing rare beasts for their wealthy masters. Their gray skin looked like old leather, and their red eyes glowed like hot coals in the morning light. The Korthak commander was taller than the others and wore armor made from the scales of creatures he had killed. Across his back hung weapons that could stun a charging rhinoceros or cut through solid rock. His name was General Vex, and he had never failed to bring back the prize he sought. Behind the commander came 50 soldiers carrying nets made of energy and cages that could hold creatures 10 times their size. They moved like a well-trained army and spoke in harsh voices that hurt to hear. Maya watched them set up their camp with military precision and felt a cold fear settle in her stomach. General Vex stood before his assembled troops and spoke of their mission. They had come to Zephyr to capture the legendary storm dragons that lived in the highest mountain peaks. These ancient creatures were worth more than entire planets to the right buyers. Their scales could deflect laser fire, and their blood could heal any wound or disease. Maya knew about the storm dragons because she had seen them dancing in the clouds during the worst thunderstorms. They were beautiful creatures with wings that sparkled like jewels and voices that sang with the music of wind and rain. The thought of them locked in cages made her heart ache with sorrow. The other elves in the forest were afraid to even speak about the dragons. They believed the great beasts were too dangerous for mortal beings to approach. Ancient laws forbade anyone from climbing to the sacred peaks where the dragons made their homes. But Maya had always felt drawn to the high places where lightning touched the earth. General Vex ordered his soldiers to begin their hunt immediately. They spread out across the forest in teams of 5 carrying scanners that could detect the heat signature of any living creature for miles around. Their technology was more advanced than anything the peaceful elves had ever seen. The Korthak hunters set up motion sensors around every cave entrance in the mountains. They placed sonic traps along the dragon flight paths and energy nets across the valleys where the great beasts might land. No creature had ever escaped their carefully planned hunts before. Maya watched the preparations from her hidden perch and felt anger growing in her chest like a small fire. These invaders had no right to steal the dragons from their ancient home. The storm dragons had lived on Zephyr since before the first elves arrived, and they deserved to remain free. As night fell, the alien hunters turned on powerful searchlights that turned the peaceful forest into a harsh landscape of shadows and glaring white beams. They worked through the darkness, setting up more equipment and planning their assault on the dragon caves. Maya climbed down from her treehouse and walked through the forest paths she had known since childhood. The other elves stayed locked in their homes, afraid to venture outside while the hunters prowled through their lands. But Maya felt no fear, only a burning need to protect the creatures she had come to love. She made her way to the edge of the meadow where the alien ships sat like sleeping metal beasts. The guards walked in patterns around the camp, but Maya knew how to move like a shadow through the tall grass. Her mother had taught her the old ways of moving unseen and unheard through any terrain. From her hiding place, Maya could hear the hunters, talking about their plans. They would begin at dawn by climbing to the first dragon cave armed with neural stunners and containment fields. General Vex expected to have all 3 storm dragons captured within a week. Maya felt her heart pounding as she listened to their cruel plans. The dragons trusted no one and would fight to the death before allowing themselves to be caged. Many hunters would die in the battle, but so would the magnificent creatures they sought to capture. There had to be another way. As she crept back through the forest, Maya began to form a plan of her own. She could not fight the hunters with weapons or technology, but perhaps she could reach the dragons first. If she could warn them of the coming danger, they might be able to escape to safety on another world. The path to the highest peak was dangerous, and no elf had attempted the climb in over 100 years. But Maya felt the storm blood calling in her veins and knew that she had to try. Tomorrow she would begin the most important journey of her life. The 3 storm dragons emerged from the shadows like living mountains made of scales and starlight. The first dragon was silver as moonbeams with eyes like polished mirrors. The second gleamed gold like sunrise with wings that sparkled when they moved. The third was deep blue as ocean depths with scales that shifted color like flowing water. Maya felt her breath catch in her throat as she looked upon the most magnificent creatures she had ever seen. Each dragon was larger than the great hall in the elven capital city. Their claws could have crushed boulders, and their teeth gleamed like crystal swords in the blue light of the cave. Most beings would have fled in terror or fallen to their knees in worship. These were the legendary storm dragons that controlled the weather and commanded the lightning itself. But Maya felt no fear in her heart, only wonder and a strange sense of coming home after a long journey. The silver dragon lowered its great head and studied Maya with ancient wisdom in its mirror eyes. When it spoke, its voice was like distant thunder rolling across summer skies. It asked why a small elf had dared to climb the sacred peak where mortals were forbidden to tread. Maya struggled to her feet and brushed the ice from her hair. Her voice shook from cold and exhaustion, but her words were clear and strong. She told the dragons about the alien hunters who had come to capture them. She described their advanced weapons and their cruel plans to cage the magnificent creatures for profit. The gold dragon listened with its head tilted to one side like a curious cat. Its voice was warmer than its silver companion and reminded Maya of wind chimes singing in a gentle breeze. It asked how Maya knew about their secret home when even the wisest elves had forgotten the path to Thunder Peak. Maya explained that she had always felt drawn to high places where storms were born. Since childhood, she had watched the dragons, dancing in the clouds during the worst weather. Something in her blood called to the wild spaces where lightning touched the earth and thunder shook the mountains. The blue dragon was the largest of the 3, and clearly the eldest. Its scales bore scars from battles fought in ages past, and its eyes held the memory of countless storms. When it spoke, the cave walls trembled with the power of its voice. It said that no mortal had reached their sanctuary in over 1,000 years. Maya told them about her mixed heritage and how the other elves considered her too wild for their peaceful ways. She had human courage in an elvish body, and felt more at home in the wilderness than in any village. The storm blood in her veins made her different from others of her kind. The dragons looked at each other with silent communication that passed between ancient minds. They had lived since before the first cities were built, and had seen many races rise and fall. But something about this small, brave creature stirred memories of older times when the bonds between species were stronger. The silver dragon told Maya that they had been expecting someone like her for many years. The ancient prophecies spoke of a bridge-walker who would come in the time of greatest need, one who carried the blood of 2 peoples and the courage to stand between worlds. Maya felt tears freezing on her cheeks as she listened to their words. She had always felt like an outsider among her own people, but here in this crystal cave she finally understood her true purpose. She had been born to build connections between the earthbound and the sky-touched. The gold dragon spread one enormous wing and invited Maya to rest in its warm shadow. The cave was heated by geothermal vents that kept the dragons comfortable even at the mountain peak. Maya gratefully accepted the shelter and felt her frozen body begin to thaw. As warmth returned to her limbs, Maya heard the sound of explosions from far below. The alien hunters were getting closer to the upper caves and their search was becoming more desperate. General Vex would not leave the planet without his prize, even if he had to destroy half the mountain to find the dragons. The Blue Dragon explained that they had been watching the hunters since their arrival. The Korthak Empire had destroyed the dragon populations on 17 other worlds. Their advanced technology made them dangerous enemies, but their arrogance was also their weakness. Maya asked if the dragons planned to fight the hunters or flee to safety among the stars. The Silver Dragon replied that they were too old to run from every threat and too proud to abandon their ancient home. But they were also too wise to believe that Tooth and Claw could defeat energy weapons and neural nets. The Gold Dragon suggested a different approach. Perhaps the time had come to trust in the old bonds between species and work together against a common enemy. The hunters expected to face savage beasts, but they were not prepared for intelligent cooperation. Maya felt excitement building in her chest like a warm fire. She proposed a plan that would use the dragon's wisdom and her knowledge of the hunter's weaknesses. Instead of hiding or fighting, they could turn the alien technology against itself through careful strategy. The Blue Dragon smiled, showing teeth like crystal daggers. It said that Maya reminded them of the ancient heroes who rode dragons into battle against impossible odds. Her plan was bold and dangerous, but it might be the only way to save both the dragons and the peaceful elves below. As night fell over Thunder Peak, the four unlikely allies began to plan their resistance against the Korthak Empire. Maya shared everything she had learned about the hunters' weapons and tactics, while the dragons revealed secrets of storm magic that had been hidden for millennia. The Silver Dragon could become invisible by bending light around its body like a living mirror. The Gold Dragon could call down lightning with pinpoint accuracy even in clear weather. The Blue Dragon was master of wind and rain and could create weather patterns that would confuse any technology. Maya realized that her greatest strength was not magic or size, but her understanding of both worlds. She could think like the hunters expected while acting with dragon wisdom. The aliens would never suspect that their prey had found a mortal ally willing to risk everything for friendship. By dawn, they had crafted a plan that would either save the dragons or doom them all. Maya felt her heart pounding with fear and excitement as she prepared for the most dangerous day of her life. The real battle was about to begin. The battle began at sunrise when General Vex ordered his hunters to assault the upper caves with everything they had. Energy weapons carved smoking holes in the mountainside, and sonic blasters shattered ancient rock formations. The peaceful mountain that had stood unchanged for thousands of years became a battlefield. Maya crouched at the edge of the crystal cave and watched the alien forces advance up the steep paths. They moved in perfect formation with their weapons ready and their scanners sweeping every shadow for signs of dragon life. General Vex led from the front wearing armor that could stop a meteor strike. The Silver Dragon pressed against the cave wall and began to shimmer like heat waves rising from summer stone. Within moments, it had become completely invisible to both natural sight and artificial scanners. The dragon magic was older than any technology the Korthak Empire possessed. Below them, the hunters reached the first false cave that the dragons had prepared as a trap. Maya held her breath as the soldiers cautiously entered the empty chamber with their weapons raised. They found nothing but old bones and the lingering scent of ancient magic. General Vex roared with frustration and ordered his troops to blast open every cave entrance they could find. The mountain shook with explosions as the hunters destroyed hiding places that had sheltered wildlife for countless generations. But still, no dragons appeared to fight them. The Gold Dragon launched itself from the cave entrance and soared into the storm clouds that surrounded the peak. Lightning began to flash in patterns that had never been seen before, as the great creature called down the power of the sky itself. The hunters' shields sparked and failed as electricity danced around their weapons. Maya watched in amazement as bolts of lightning struck with impossible accuracy. The alien technology overloaded and exploded in showers of sparks that lit up the mountainside. Half of the Korthak weapons were destroyed in the first few moments of the dragon attack. But General Vex was not easily defeated. He activated emergency protocols, and his remaining troops took cover behind energy shields that could deflect even dragon lightning. The blue dragon emerged from the cave and spread its enormous wings to call up winds that howled like the voices of angry gods. The wind attack caught the hunters off guard and sent several of them tumbling down the steep mountain paths. There, flying vehicles were blown off course and crashed into the rocks with explosions that echoed across the peaks. But the alien commander continued to advance with grim determination. Maya knew that the time had come for her part of the plan. She climbed onto the back of the silver dragon and felt its invisible form ripple beneath her like liquid starlight. Together they dove toward the hunters using stealth and speed to strike where the enemy least expected. The invisible dragon landed in the middle of the Korthak formation, and Maya leaped down among the startled soldiers. Her elvish agility let her dodge their weapon fire, while she activated the captured alien devices they had modified during the night. Neural nets designed to capture dragons suddenly turned on their own creators. General Vex spun around in confusion as his own troops became entangled in their hunting equipment. The modified nets responded to Maya commands and wrapped around the hunters like living metal serpents. Within moments, half of the alien force was trapped in their own technology. The silver dragon became visible again and roared with triumph as it saw the success of their surprise attack. The gold dragon called down more lightning to destroy the remaining weapons, while the blue dragon summoned a blizzard that turned the mountainside into a frozen wasteland. But General Vex had not conquered 17 worlds by giving up easily. He activated his personal battle armor and drew weapons that Maya had never seen before. His suit could fly, and his arm cannons could punch holes through solid rock. The alien commander had kept his best equipment in reserve. Maya dodged as energy. Beams carved smoking trenches in the stone around her feet. The dragons tried to shield her, but General Vex was too fast and too well armed. His battlesuit let him dance between their attacks, while his weapons slowly wore down their defenses. The blue dragon took a direct hit from a plasma cannon and crashed into the mountainside with a roar of pain. Golden blood flowed from the wound and froze instantly in the cold air. Maya felt rage building in her heart as she saw her friend injured by the cruel hunter. The silver dragon wrapped its coils around General Vex, but his armor was too strong to crush, and his weapons burned through dragon scales like paper. The alien commander laughed as he fought creatures that legends claimed were invincible. His advanced technology was proving superior to ancient magic. Maya realized that brute force would not win this battle. She needed to use her greatest advantage, which was her ability to think like both hunter and prey. While the dragons kept General Vex busy, she climbed to the highest point of the cave entrance. From her perch, Maya could see the entire battlefield spread below her. The alien ships waited in the valley with their engines running ready to carry captured dragons back to distant slave markets. But the ships were unguarded because every hunter had joined the assault on the peak. Maya took a deep breath and leaped from the cave entrance with her arms spread wide like wings. The gold dragon saw her falling and swept down to catch her in its gentle claws. Together they dove toward the alien fleet with the speed of a meteor strike. The dragon carried Maya to the command ship, and she used her knowledge of alien technology to access their main computer. Her fingers flew over the control panels as she uploaded a virus that the dragons had helped her create, using their understanding of electrical patterns. One by one, the alien ships began to malfunction as their systems overloaded. Engines exploded, and weapon batteries discharged randomly into the sky. The entire Korthak fleet was destroying itself from within, while their commander fought uselessly on the mountain above. General Vex looked down from the peak and saw his ships burning in the valley below. His perfect hunting expedition had become a complete disaster thanks to one small elf and 3 clever dragons. For the first time in his military career, he had been completely outmaneuvered by his prey. The alien commander activated his emergency beacon and called for rescue from orbit. But the dragons had one final surprise prepared for their defeated enemy. As his escape pod rose toward the stars, the blue dragon summoned a lightning storm that fried its electronics and sent it tumbling back toward the planet's surface. Maya and her dragon friends watched as General Vex parachuted into the forest far below. He would survive, but his hunting days were over. The Korthak Empire would think twice before returning to a world where dragons and elves fought as allies. The wreckage of the alien fleet smoldered in the valley as Maya and her dragon companions surveyed their victory. Twisted metal and broken technology littered the peaceful meadow, where Crystal Lake reflected the morning sky. The threat to their world was ended, but the real work was just beginning. The blue dragon nursed its wounded wing while the silver dragon tended to burns from General Vex's plasma weapons. The gold dragon had taken the least damage, but all three creatures showed signs of their fierce battle with the Korthak hunters. Maya felt grateful that none of her friends had been seriously hurt. Over the following days, other elves began to emerge from their hidden villages to see what had happened to the alien invaders. They found Maya sitting by the lake sharing food with three enormous dragons, as if they were old friends having a picnic. The sight amazed and frightened the peaceful forest dwellers. Elder Thorn was the oldest and wisest elf in the great forest. He approached the unlikely group with careful steps and wonder in his ancient eyes. He had lived for over 500 years, but had never seen a dragon up close. The magnificent creatures were even more beautiful than the oldest songs described. Maya introduced her dragon friends to the elder and explained how they had worked together to defeat the alien hunters. She told the story of their battle and how dragon wisdom combined with elvish courage had saved their world from invasion. Elder Thorn listened with growing amazement to her tale. The silver dragon spoke to Elder Thorn in the formal language of ancient treaties. It explained that the old bonds between elves and dragons had been renewed through Maya brave actions. The time of hiding and fear was over, and the two peoples could be allies once again. The gold dragon offered to help repair the damage that the alien weapons had caused to the forest. Its lightning could be gentle as well as fierce, and could encourage new growth in the burned meadows. The blue dragon promised to bring healing rains to wash away the toxic residue left by the crashed ships. Elder Thorn realized that Maya had accomplished something that would change their world forever. She had not only saved the dragons from capture, but had also opened a new chapter in the long history of their peoples. The elves would no longer need to fear the high places where storms were born. Word of Maya heroic deeds spread quickly through the forest communities. Young elves who had only heard dragons described in frightening stories came to see the gentle giants who had become their protectors. Children who had been taught to fear the thunder began to laugh when lightning danced in the sky. The dragons decided to make their home in the valley beside Crystal Lake, rather than returning to their lonely mountain caves. They built a magnificent lair from crystal and living wood that sparkled like a jewel in the forest depths. Maya helped them design their new home to be both beautiful and comfortable. The silver dragon became the guardian of the forest, using its ability to become invisible to watch for threats from space. No alien hunters would ever again land on their world without warning. The great creature took pride in protecting the peaceful elves who had welcomed it as a friend. The gold dragon took charge of weather management across the entire continent. Its precise control of lightning and rain helped crops grow and prevented dangerous storms from destroying elf settlements. Farmers who had once feared thunder now celebrated when they saw the golden wings in the sky. The blue dragon became a teacher and storyteller, sharing ancient wisdom with any elf who wished to learn. Its vast knowledge of other worlds and distant times fascinated the forest dwellers who had lived isolated lives. The dragon spoke of wonders beyond imagination and possibilities yet to be discovered. Maya found herself changed by her adventures with the storm dragons. The mixed blood that had once made her feel like an outsider now marked her as a bridge between worlds. She became an ambassador, helping elves and dragons understand each other better. Other worlds began to send representatives to learn about the peaceful cooperation between different species. Scientists and diplomats arrived from across the galaxy, hoping to understand how natural enemies had become devoted allies. Maya found herself explaining their success to visitors from the stars. The secret lay not in magic or technology, but in simple respect and genuine friendship. The dragons had chosen to trust Maya because she approached them without fear or greed. She had risked everything to warn them of danger, expecting nothing in return for her courage. Maya established a school where young elves could learn about dragon lore and storm magic. The dragons taught willing students how to read the patterns in clouds and understand the language of wind and rain. A new generation grew up seeing dragons not as monsters, but as wise teachers. The three dragons also learned much from their elf friends. They discovered the joy of community after centuries of loneliness on the mountain peaks. They found pleasure in helping others and sharing their ancient knowledge with curious minds. The bond between species grew stronger with each passing year. General Vex was eventually rescued by a Korthak patrol ship, but his career as a hunter was finished. He had lost an entire fleet and failed to capture a single dragon, despite overwhelming technological advantages. The Empire reassigned him to desk duty on a remote mining station where he could do no more harm. The Korthak Empire marked planet Zephyr as off-limits to all hunting expeditions. The official records described the world as defended by unknown alien technology too dangerous to approach. They never learned that their defeat had come from friendship rather than advanced weapons. Maya often stood on her platform in the great oak tree and watched her dragon friends soaring through the clouds above Crystal Lake. The silver dragon would wave with one wing tip, while the gold dragon called down gentle lightning that made the water sparkle. The blue dragon would sing ancient songs that carried on the wind. The forest had become a place of wonder where magic and nature lived in perfect harmony. Elves and dragons worked together to heal the scars left by the alien invasion and build something beautiful from the ashes of conflict. Their world was stronger now than it had ever been before. Maya smiled as she watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Tomorrow would bring new adventures and challenges, but she would face them with three loyal friends by her side. The storm dragons had found their home and she had found her true family among the clouds.